Welcome back to another quick catch-up from the shed, and I'll just show you a few things that have been going on with me in the last few weeks. I better start the episode properly. Just a minute. Hello, my name's Jennifer. Now, having got that out of the way, I'll proceed to show you a few things that I'm working on just at the minute, and I have started to get back to work on the engine. And the first things I'll show you is the first mistake I've made on the engine. So I'll just reposition the camera. Right, quick catch up how far we got with the engine. This is a small diesel engine making. I have made one before that ran. That was a blow engine. But this one I'm showing you, well, I've been doing a series of videos starting from the block of aluminium and working our way through making all the components to make a diesel engine. First one I made had plain bearings. This one has got roller bearings. So what we've got, hang on a sec. Right, where were we? Yeah, we'll have a look how far we've got with this engine so far. So far we've got the crankshaft, and that is mounted on ball races, one at the back and there's one at the front of the crankcase. So that's the crankshaft and crank pin and the crank webs all machined up. So that's that. We've got a crankcase machined with the back plate. We've got the cylinder machined up with all its ports, and we've got the porting in the crankcase. That's the exhaust, that's the intake, and when you pop that in there, get it the right way round. As you can see, it's an oblong exhaust, and when you push them together they both line up, so that's alright. We've got the con rod, and we've got the piston, we've got the gudgeon pin, and we've also got two, I don't know if you can see them, we've got two rings, two cast iron rings on the end of the piston. I'm not very good at this photography stuff. I never have been. I've gone through a life of 70 years nearly taking blurred photos, and it looks like it still continues. Anyway, why won't it focus on that? You'll have to take my word for it. There are two cast iron rings on the end of the piston. So that's how far we've got. The next job I've started on is on the end of the crank shaft at the front there's supposed to be a colliit and prop driver, and I've started with the colliit and prop driver, and again I've made a ricket, which I will show you now. I didn't film any of them making of the prop driver. I just started to do it and then realised I hadn't got the camera out. Anyway, That's the prop driver, which is supposed to fit on the end of the crankshaft. To get it to fit, you've got to have a collet with a 5-degree included angle. I'm not sure if it's 10-degree including angle and it's 5 degrees, or it's 5-degree included angle. Anyway, this is machined with a taper of 5 degrees on it. That is bored 7mm to match the crankshaft, like that. And the idea is to make this collet 10mm long and put a slit in it so it can collapse and contract and tighten up on the crankshaft. And the thing that tightens the collet up is the prop driver. That goes on there onto the taper, and as you tighten it on, it collapses the collet grips the crank, and the jobs are good. So we started by roughing out a collet, and then I started roughing out the prop driver, and then I started on the collet. Now the collet itself is easy enough to set up in the lathe. You just set your compound to 5 degrees and you machine it off. Now, as I say, that's bored 7mm. The outer diameter is 8mm, and it's got the whole blank is about 20mm long, but I'm only going to cut off, when I'm ready, 10mm of it to form the collet. So the next problem I come across was, how do I bore a taper on that on the lathe? And of course you don't bore it. There's no way. Well, I haven't got any equipment that could bore a taper down a 7mm hole, so it came to me like a flash to make a reamer. So that was easy enough. While the compound was still set, I cut a taper on the end of this piece of mild steel, and seeing as how I'm only going to be machining a piece of aluminium, I thought the mild steel would be more than adequate to do the job. So we got a 4-flute reamer which we made on the milling machine, and away to go. But as usual, sod's law, and me not paying attention to what I'm doing, I done the calculation that the amount of taper on the whatever I was doing, the amount of taper from 0 to 10mm back would increase the diameter by 3mm. I worked that out. Hooray. And then, like the complete idiot I am, I proceeded to make me reamer 7mm at one end, and I thought, well, 10mm bar will suffice, so that will give me the 3mm to the other end. But that wasn't right, was it? I should have started with the end of that, which is 8mm. So that, although it made a beautiful taper in there, it machined it out. I put that in the chuck, that in the tailstock, and it reamed out beautifully. It went straight in and it cut that taper. But the problem is, the taper's too small. It won't do the job I want. Why isn't this bloody thing focusing? There we go. See? We're short. And of course I can't push the reamer any further through because it's too small in diameter. So now what we've got to do is make another one. Yeah, what I say is you can't have enough prop drivers really. Anyway, so we'll start on that, and we'll start first of all by, well, we've got the colliit. There's no need to change the colliit. So I think the first thing I'll do, because the compound's still set to 5 degrees, is I'll get a bigger diameter bar and I'll make another reamer. And we'll do that first. Then we'll put a piece of, oh dear, we'll put a piece of aluminium in the chuck, ream out the back of it, and then we'll proceed to cut out the prop driver. I'm not sure if I'm getting any, if all these are absolutely blurred or not. As I say, all my life I've been fantastic at taking blurred shots. In the 80s I went and bought like an SLR with a mammoth telescopic lens on it, and guess what? Every photo I took was blurred. I just got no idea of photography, so that's why my videos are so crap. Right, we'll stop there and we'll proceed to the lathe to cut the taper on the new piece of bar, and then we'll go to the mill and I'll mill in these flutes. Right, enough talking. Oh, just one other thing, yes of course. Probably some of you might have noticed that I use the Swan Morton surgical knives. So I've got those and packs of sterile blades, and my stepdaughter is a consultant doctor, and I've made inquiries with her if she'd like me to step in at any time for any surgical procedures, because I've got the knife, and now I've also got the blue gloves. So, you know, really there's no reason why I can't do a bit of brain surgery. I've got the gloves and I've got the knife. Anyway, that's for another time. Right. Keep saying right. Maybe it's left. I don't know. Anyway, I've got a piece of 12mm mild steel bar here. That's all I know it has. I don't know any of the numbers about it, what quality it is. It's just 12mm. I've made a bright steel bar. Anyway, I've done a few jobs on this lathe since I've had it. One I did yesterday, which I've never done before. Stripped the chuck, just cleaned it out, scotch brighted parts of it, get rid of any rough edges, and now look at that. I've never had a chuck do that before. Anyway, that's by the by. Right, I always rotate the bar or whatever I'm putting in the chuck if I can, as I tighten, just to make sure it's bedding down in the jaws. Give it a tweak, and as you probably notice, I am now wearing my surgical gloves. Not that anybody's taken me up on having a bit of surgery, but I've never experienced it before, but I machined some titanium in my little mill, and I was ever so pleased. It cut the titanium superbly, but ever since then there's been 90 million little tiny splinters in this bloody place, and it doesn't matter what I touch, I've been getting them. So I've been forced to wear gloves, which I hate wearing. I've never worn them in my life for any jobs I've ever done. I don't like gloves. Anyway, we've been forced now, we've got to do it. Right, let us proceed, hopefully, to put the correct sized taper on this piece of bar. That's a good start, isn't it? I have in fact bolted this lathe down, I suppose because I didn't fully realise that you had to be able to get it to cut parallel, and I have managed to do that. It does now cut parallel. It's a very nice lathe to use. It's got a very easy action, he says, as if people might think that he's a machinist, but I'm not. I put this, made this lock for the carriage. I also extended the radius of this handle so it will easily turn. I'll just have to reset this for the amount of taper we've got to cut, so I'll bring that back to there. Move the table in again, and move the carriage in. We just touch in there, lock him off, pitch that out, and start him up. Right, so I want to finish with at least 8mm in the middle there. I think I'll just have to face that off first, so just bear with me. I should have done that first. It's got a bit of a pip in the middle there. Just touch off, back him out a bit, put a bit of a cut on, and with this machine I can power feed across the machine on the length. And these tools I'm using at the moment are high-speed steel ones, which I've ground from blanks, which is another little thing I've learnt to do, and they all seem to be cut very nicely at the moment. There we are. Take the tip off in the middle, pull out, and away you go. Just reset the tool post. Not that one you fill, that one. Just square it up with the compound. Back in. That's got a bit of a wobble on the end of that. I thought I usually get them to seat pretty well by rotating them in the jaws. proceeding to wobble anyway, it won't make any difference because we're machining it off. Start annotating that. Just over the neck now. This end. See how far we've got now. Not the easiest thing in the world to measure because it's a tape out. I can only get an approximation. Anybody knows a better way of measuring a tape will let me know. This isn't very good. Where are we? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Got a mil to go. I want it just under 8. Just a smidge. Oh dear. Three hundredths under, so I'll just give it a nice little I think we've put a cut on with our belly again. Right. So hopefully we've got that. Next job, just clean it up a bit and then we'll put it in the mill and cut the flutes on it. Need to get a bit of a finish on there. advantage. That's alright. Right, we'll now reconvene at the mill.